All right, so we're going to go over how to use the interactive map for just to give you an example of collecting data. So a lot of your counties and cities have interactive maps. So I'm going to go to Orange County interactive maps. You can Google it. So I'm going to go interactive map. I am actually using Internet Explorer because sometimes if you use Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, you might have to do a Silverlight add-in or something like that. So I'm just going to use Internet Explorer. So I'm going to click on the map, interactive map for Orange County because I'm looking at a project for the class possibly to be in Orange County. So let's take a look at how to collect data. So when mine first pops up, you can see all these different layers of data that you'll need for the survey department and the engineering department. So I want to find the address of our project, but I don't exactly know where it is on the site. So I'll click on search. And I can search by an address. And I know the address is on Votah Road. So I'm going to type in Votah, and when you start to spell it, it usually will pop up and help you along. So I'm going to look at Votah Road and search. When I do that, it's going to come up with all the houses that are on Votah Road or properties that are on Votah Road. So let that search for a minute. Now, I'll show you how to create markups on here. So it gives us a list of 147. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this first one to get to the feature. Now, that's not my project area. My project area that I'm interested in is actually up here. So I'm going to go ahead and click the X. And I'm going to click back here. And one more time. Now that brings up our layer information. If the layer information is missing and yours looks like this, to get that layer information back, click on the arrow and then open the layer list. Okay, so I want to know the information about this property area. So you can go identification and you can click on identify and you can click on the property. Now what that does is it gives you a parcel ID number, the address, the owner name, the owner's address. You can also link this information to the parcel. When it does that, it actually goes to the property appraiser's office. I agree to the terms, and there's the tools. And it tells me information about this project area. Now, also, it should have on here, I know Osceola County, I'm not as familiar with Orange County as I am Osceola County. It'll usually have on here the plat book and page number, but I'll get to that in a minute. Go back to the Orange County site, the Orange County info map. Now, with that, I want to show you what information I can get as an engineer and surveyor. So on that, I'm going to click on Identify Results, and I've got my layers. So we've got on our base maps, we've got aerial maps. So this is what our project area looks like. It's got a lot of trees, so the surveyors, when they go out there, they might have to identify the trees, the various types of trees. You have to save a certain portion of trees. You can turn off that. I'm going to turn off the aerial image, put my base map back on, and the aerial behind it. Okay, so let's talk about some of the information that we can get here. We're just going to click through each one. Code enforcement, you can click on and off to see what information code. I'm going to uncheck that. You've got health. You can see where the hospitals are. This is powered by Esri ArcGIS, so it's a geographic information systems map. You can see which neighborhoods you're in. If there's a neighborhood watch, our project area is within the Vineyard Condominium Association. I'm going to check those. You can look at the public services. Some of this information we won't need, but if you were doing a big project, the developer would have to add this information to his application. I'm going to uncheck that. Economic development, Recreation, if there's boat ramps, you can see there's boat slips, but these are individual homeowners. You can also see we're off or near Lake McCoy. When you're near a lake, you want to be interested in floodplain maps. You can look at economic development regions, okay? So you can see where there's foreclosures. You can see the historic information. The environmental information, we're interested in soils. So we know what type of soils, what's good for construction as an engineer, what is hydric soils, regard to wetlands. If there is a wetland inventory, are there wetlands on our site? You can see that there are some wetlands through here. Now, what we want to do is when we start gathering this information is we'll have to create maps for our reports. You can get information on the census, education, where the colleges and schools are, jurisdictions, are we within the Reedy Creek? We'll want to know what water management district we're in. We're in the St. John's Water Management District. I'm going to uncheck that. The land development. So you might be in a restricted area for construction, so you'll have different requirements that you have to design by. Okay, so I'm going to uncheck these. Uncheck that. You'll be interested in the future land use. What are we allowed to use the land for? So typically we'll look at the future land use map. So we are currently in low density residential area. There's also low to medium. This means how many houses or what can I build in the area. So we'll want a map of that. Survey information, there's benchmark information. So these little green dots will tell you what the benchmark is. So if you had to come out here and survey this site, you would want to come off one of these benchmarks and tie into another benchmark to make sure that your level your level loop is closed. So let me close that. On the benchmark information, you can go to identification and you can click on one of the benchmarks. Let me see if I can get close to it. Go back to the benchmark. So on that one, you can see it's a railroad spike in the east-faced power pole. You can see the northing and easting and the elevation that it's at. So you'll want to get some information off of the benchmark data. Let me get off of the point. Let me go back to here. There we go. So you'll get the information from here. Go back. Let me close out of that. You can see the PLS lines, public land serving lines, get information on those. Major streets. Let's see if I can get information on that. I don't know if identify is what I need. There we go. So it's an iron pen, 1.5 inch iron pen or iron rod. Let me close out of those. Benchmarks, second and third order. So you can see what section, township, and range you're in. Uncheck that. Note that you're on the 88 datum. There are a lot of places. Most of Osceola County is still on the 29 datum, but it's being changed. You can see transportation overlays. We've got nothing out there. Zoning. We can see what type of zoning. The zoning tells us how we're going to develop our area. The R1, you'll go to the Muni code and then you'll look up the code requirements for developing. So our project is going to be residential development, and we're going to build some houses like within a certain zoning district. Small area so we can get a feel for developing and creating a plat for our project, a set of construction plans, plan and profile, site plan, utilities. So I'm looking at a small area so it's not so overwhelming. You also have property information, address and address range. You click on that, you can see what the address is. Okay, I'm going to uncheck addressing. Government interests. We don't really have any interests out here. You do have, this is, see right here where it says Plat Book 50, page 44. This interest is because it is a pond. So it's a government interest because probably this project area here is maintained by the county. You also have these in red. Those are probably your easements to get from one point to another. I'd be surprised. Let me turn on the aerial, because there's going to be an easement through here. You can see it's on in between houses. You also see in the yellow, these are utility easements. The red is probably storm. Again, I'm not as familiar with Orange County as I am Osceola County. You also have purple. My guess, the purple is, off the top of my head, is going to be a power easement or a larger utility easement. What we can do, let's say we wanted a markup of this map, and we'll get a legend. So if I go to tasks, and I say print, I should get a nice print area, and we can say Orange County project area and easements. I'm going to go with easements. I believe they're easements. And I'm going to print. It's preparing the map, and open the file. And you can see that they're color coded. So retention is the blue, drainage is the red, utility easement is the orange, access. So the purple was an access easement. So I am going to go, oops, I'm going to go back. It's not letting me go back. There we go. So this is an access easement to get back here into this retention area. Okay, so I'm going to close out of that, go back to my layers. I'm going to collapse these. Okay, uncheck those. I am going to go back to property and show you parcel information. I'm going to uncheck these. Sorry, I shouldn't have clicked on that. Okay. So you've got block lines, lot lines. It's thinking. I am going to turn this aerial off. There we go. You've got lot labels. So you can see the track labels. I'm going to also turn the aerial off here. You've got miscellaneous annotation, parcel dimensions. So you can see the width and the length. I'm just going to turn all of these on. Okay. Let it think for a minute. So you can see what additional, it's got your section, township, and range. It's got a parcel number, dimensions on it, subdivision information. I'm going to uncheck that. You've also got public safety, where fire and rescue is located, how close to the stations you are, law enforcement. Again, this information would be needed for like a large development. You'll get asked questions by the counties and the cities for information regarding, is there a bus stop close to your project? Okay, they'll ask you about sewer, water, the utilities. Is there I'm going to uncheck all of these. Is there a water provider? So Apopka is our water provider. Is there reclaim out there? Apopka is the reclaim. The utility for wastewater is, again, Apopka. Okay, so you can also see if there is a floodplain out here. You can see there is a floodplain. You can see what drainage basin. We're in the Wekiva River drainage basin. Now, this is important for the engineers to know if they're in a basin that is has to have special drainage for water quality, any of those issues. So this is just an overview of the various kinds of information that you can find on the Orange County Property Appraiser or Orange County maps. I'm going to pause here and then we're going to take a look at creating certain maps for our project.